Hello, and welcome to Page Turners, a bookish podcast. Each week we choose a different book to read and then we come together and we talk about it. Just think of us as your book club elites. Yeah. Each week you can listen along and berate us for our right opinions. Nope, wrong opinions. Sorry guys, there you go, you can berate me for that. Or cheer when we get it right. That's Amy.
And that's Liv.
Oh, and of course, fair warning, gave you spoilers. We're back, bitches! We're back!
Keep that in.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. A lot of you, well, I say a lot of you, there's not that many of you that aren't our friends, and therefore haven't been wondering where we are. But we're back.
We are back. Officially, we are back. We had a hiatus, slightly longer than planned.
Yeah, an intentional hiatus, I think. I never made it to Australia, guys. Those of you that are following diligently on the episode, and we're hoping to hear about Australia, I've got no insight. I wasn't well before we flew, and I wasn't allowed to fly. And so Alex and I buggered off to Menorca for 10 days, so I can tell you anything you want to know about Menorca. Just those of you that come for Sydney and Melbourne tips. Sorry, not to tell you about Sweet Adela, but which I probably pronounced wrong.
I don't even know, but no Australia chat for us.
Nothing for us.
No, that's okay. How was Menorca?
It was really nice. Yeah, it was nice. Very different holiday to Australia, in the sense that it was like an all-inclusive sort of jobby with my parents. So
fine.
It was really nice.
Fun.
Yeah, no, fun. Didn't do an awful lot. Sat by the pool, swam in the sea.
Ah, sounds heavenly though.
Played a lot of bowls.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That was it.
That's all you want from a holiday. Something just to completely relax.
Very true. And it was needed post.
Absolutely, after everything that you've been through. Totally.
Yeah. How was Greece?
It feels like so long ago. I just wanted to check there when our last episode was released, and it was on the 20th of May. Oh,
that was like, that's 3 weeks post everything shit going down for me.
That was the day that I went away.
Oh.
Yeah, so we went away. That was the Monday of the Saturday I went away, and it was the Monday that we last released. So yeah, Greece was great. It was a wedding, family wedding.
Hey.
Went very well. No, it was really good. The weather was fantastic. It wasn't too hot because I am not a very hot, sitting in the sun kind of gal.
Anybody that sees us on TikTok or social media is very aware of how the colour that you and I are.
Yeah.
We are the
palest of pale.
The complexion of an A4 piece of paper.
Yeah, totally.
So we're shade girlies.
Yeah, absolutely. So we went to the beach and got a lot of the lovely breeze from the sea.
Yeah.
But it was only maybe about 24, 25 degrees.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be any hotter than that.
No, thank you.
There is no need for it.
So yeah, great times, but it does feel like quite long ago now. So I'm kind of trying to think of another holiday that we can go on.
That's very true.
Yeah.
But what have you been reading? What has been did you have any good holiday reads?
Well, we had don't want to give anything away too soon, but we have actually done a reread of one of my favourite series. Your favourite series?
I think one of my favourites. Yeah, we'll tell you at the end of the episode because it's coming up next, babies.
Oh yeah.
Why did I just call our listeners babies?
I don't know, but I don't disagree with it.
It feels wrong. It feels wrong. We're moving on swiftly. Yes, so we reread that sort of in tandem almost.
Yeah, and that was very fun. I love a reread anyway, but that felt even more fun because it was like holiday vibes.
Not the book, but
no, not at all. But yeah, it was great fun reading that in the sunshine. And then I read the Encyclopedia of Fairies.
Yes.
Emily Wilde's, Encyclopedia of Fairies.
I have that. I haven't read it.
By Heather Fawcett.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a nice read.
Good.
Wholesome. Very wholesome. A bit like kind of gave me like Howl's Moving Castle vibes.
Cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely a recommendation for that then. Yeah, I'm sure the author will be chuffed to hear that.
Yeah. But it was very, very sweet, and there was like tension, but it wasn't really romantic tension.
Is it gay?
No, it's not. But I think I do think that the main character, there's like neurodivergence there.
Okay.
It's never specifically said what it is, but it's quite a widely kind of speculated. And I think that's kind of intentional on the author's part. But yeah, it was a very sweet and wholesome read.
Excellent.
As I say, there are 2 more. I'm not like I need to read the second one, but I'll get there eventually, and I'm sure we'll have a nice time, just like I had with this one.
Nice.
But yeah, if you want something light and quite fluffy and
cottagecore,
easy, very cottagecore, very much. If you read it in like the autumn time, it's set in like it's set in Norway, so it's like snow vibes. But the characters were super adorable, and yeah, I definitely give it a go. And then I am in the middle of reading not a fantasy at all. I'm reading Such a Bad Influence. Olivia Muente? Not quite sure how you pronounce that, but it's very different because
Olivia.
It's true crime.
Oh, okay, cool. So for all the true crime girlies, there you go.
That's it. It's about an influencer who has kind of captures her whole life on, and has done since she was young, because she was one of those kind of like family influencer type things.
Terrify me. Really
scary, cult vibes almost. And then one day she goes missing.
Ooh, but it's all captured. It's like, how can she go missing? Because it's all been captured. Do you know, that's actually kind of fascinating. Actually, tempting.
Yeah. What about you? What have you been reading?
So I'm currently maybe 3/4 of the way through Heatwave by TJ Klune, which is the 3rd book in the Extraordinary series, which is young gay
I can see it's
superheroes.
Gay. Looks great from here.
So good. TJ Klune is one of my favourite authors. I would recommend him to anyone that wants to read queer, wants to read neurodivergent stories, for sure. But on holiday...
Ooh, the holiday vibes.
I read, I think there's 3 out of, at the minute. I read the first one's called The Trial of the Sun Queen, and they're all by Nisha J. Tully, or Tully it might be, but it's like Artifacts of Uranus. Like, you know, you say the Aurora Borealis, it's like Uranus. That's how I want to pronounce it.
Okay.
It's really badly done.
I'm getting trials, I'm getting...
Yeah, it's so good. Fae.
Yeah.
Like, trials. I think you get, like, an enemies to lovers, which, you know, we love.
If it's like sun, is it like elemental, celestial? Is it...
What
kind of magic system are we looking at there?
Each kingdom's sort of like there's the land, and then there's little pockets of kingdoms all around, and they all harness different kinds of magic.
Like it.
And of course, the missing Heart Queen has been the Heart Queen heir, and she's been missing for years now. No one knows what happened to her. Who could it possibly be?
Which the romantic male, I'm assuming. Sorry to that.
One is obviously the sun. One is obviously the darkness and the shadows.
I just wanted to see that. I just wanted to make sure one of them was the darkness and the shadows. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Does he have dark hair by any chance?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. All right. Love it.
I'm not so sure if the sun guy has like blonde hair. I think he's probably more golden. You know, like
yeah.
But
is it this is who we think the love interest is, although we absolutely do not think that, and then we get a kind of an alternative love interest? Is it that style?
Basically, first book paints our golden boy as someone who is to be trusted.
Yeah.
Second book is like, bow!
Oh, and then we get
Shadow.
Grey.
We get Shadow Boy.
We get Shadow Daddy coming in.
Shaddy.
Yeah.
We get our Shaddy in.
Okay, that sounds good. Was it an easy read? Was it a fun read? Is it something you
so I flew through them.
Okay.
The third one, I think you don't if you read them one after the other, you might get a bit tired by the time you got to 3, because I certainly did, but I'm very much looking forward to 4 and the culmination of the whole series.
Oh, so we have a 4th book?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Not just a standard trilogy.
Don't see a lot of quads these days, to be fair.
I'm up for it. That sounds really good.
There you go then. Cool. There you go. Rex galore. But it's good to be back.
So good to be back.
And let's get to it.
Woo!
Amy.
Yeah.
What were we reading? Or what have we read?
Oh, we have read Powerless by Lauren Roberts, the TikTok sensation.
It is popping off on TikTok.
Oh, it is. It's everywhere you go.
They'll always take the weather with you.
Oh, there we go. There's a reference that people
That people will or probably won't know.
Yeah, it's a TikTok sensation. It's the very first book Lauren Roberts has ever, maybe not written perhaps, but certainly published and had such a huge following for.
And look, chuff for her.
Absolutely.
And yeah. But you and I do need to say we have read an awful lot of this genre.
Yes.
Right now, I think it's probably safe to say you and I came to this genre probably about 10 years ago.
I think that's fair enough to say, yeah.
When it wasn't as huge. And I mean, TikTok has a lot to answer for in terms of that. Mm-hmm. Go and look at our mini-sode, Book Talk Bookstagram. little plug within our own episode for us. Yep. But Book Talk specifically has a lot to answer for in terms of like boosting genres and things, and not necessarily in a bad way, in a good way for sure. But sometimes I wonder, and maybe we're going to answer the question today: can you have too much of a good thing?
I think that's a fair thing to say. Yeah, perhaps if you were going into this as maybe one of the first fantasy romance books you'd ever read, it's pretty solid in that it kind of does everything that you expect it to do. But as we've said before in previous episodes, fantasy romance books rely quite heavily on trope.
Yes.
There's a lot of trope specific to fantasy romance, and boy, do we get the trope bingo card in this book.
Yeah, and again, that's not always a bad thing.
No.
People, we've talked about this on this podcast. Tropes exist because we love them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, tropes exist because they're popular and people love them, and some people hate them, and there's a real marmite sometimes. I find, but yeah, no, I think it's fair to say some of these tropes fall flat.
I've certainly seen them done better.
Okay, let's start with the biggie that we get, which is enemies to lovers.
Okay.
I don't think this book is enemies to lovers.
No, I don't think it is. It is very much on TikTok classified as enemies to lovers. It's on all the enemies to lovers. Like, you need to read top 5 enemies to lovers that I've read this year. Like, that's where you'll see it, I think.
I couldn't put this in my enemies to lovers pile.
Oh, no.
If anything, it's, what did we say, competitive colleagues.
I think you summed it up very well in that it doesn't really fit into any one box.
Because basically, the enemies to lovers that we refer to is Payden. I'm so sorry, Lauren, but that is the stupidest name for anyone. Maybe it's very American.
Yeah, I've heard of Peyton.
And Hayden.
So it's a kind of combination of the two.
Yeah, a portmanteau of Hayden Panettiere and Peyton.
I always thought of Hayden Panettiere when I was reading it. Every time.
Interesting.
That popped into my head all the time.
It's probably because it's fucking Payden.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've got Payden and Kai, who are...
quite a standard fantasy romance leading man name, I would say.
For sure, yeah. 3 letters. Anything more than 3 letters and he's not attractive.
Get out of here with your long-ass name.
Get him out of here.
Kai and Kit.
Kai and Kit, and they're half-brothers, obviously. So with the enemies to lovers, they meet, and I mean, they're instantly attracted to each other, which is fine. I have no problem with that.
No.
But, I think it's more what he represents that would probably classify him as an enemy.
I agree. There's nothing really about him as a person to make her hate him and make her feel he is an enemy of hers.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah. I think they live in different worlds and they represent to the other almost a destruction of their way of life.
Yeah, he's everything. He kind of represents everything that she hates, that she's kind of been brought up to hate.
But she never hates him.
No, that's it. She never hates the individual. More about what he kind of represents and his life and his family and that kind of thing. Yeah. Whereas I don't feel like he really has that with her, because she's just kind of lower class. Like, he doesn't really...
He's 100% on the fuck train.
What does that mean? So hard to, like, in my head I was going to go, absolutely. I can't even
Do you
keep
know
a
what?
straight face.
I appreciate your honesty, but also fuck you, because I was hoping you'd come through for me there. All he does is he sees her, he wants her, and I sort of think, from what I remember about...
Oh, the want to fuck her train.
Yeah.
All right, okay, fair. Okay, that makes sense.
How is that not
I know.
obliquely obvious
Exactly.
to begin with?
Yeah, that was my bad. Okay.
Yes, it was. Yours and everybody else is listening.
Just all sitting there going,
Yeah, classic.
Deep.
Yeah, no, I love that fuck train.
Yeah.
I've never been on the fuck train in my entire life.
Yeah, so he doesn't really see her as a problem, I don't think.
No, he's suspicious of her.
Yes. And why is that? What do we have in that world?
Well, it leads us into powers, right? It leads us into the classic of this is a society of people with powers who consider themselves above those that don't have powers.
Yeah.
And the king says a decree or something. There was a plague or something, and they tried to pretend that it was basically the noble people blamed the poor people for the plague, but just insert noble and poor with those that have powers and those that don't. So the ordinary, boring people were blamed for a plague, and they were ousted from the city. And so theoretically the whole city or the whole kingdom is full of elites.
And that might sound, if you are unfamiliar with fantasy romance, as, oh, well, that's really quite a unique, interesting plot. But how many plagues have you read about? How many times have you read that storyline?
Honestly, I've read about so many plagues, I feel like I've lived through all of them.
I know, we are suffering at the hands of these many, many plagues.
You and me, covered in boils.
Oh, just big X on the door.
Oh yeah, no, we did do that before we started recording.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, you are so right. It is, again, it's that classic, it doesn't necessarily have to be a plague. There's some sort of misfortune that's befallen the rich.
Yep. And
they blame the poor.
And that's the reason why they can't allow the poor and the rich, or the powerful and the powerless, to live together.
And to mingle.
Can't do it.
No, can it.
Oh,
so they're ousted out.
The plague.
Ousted into the desert, where it is said so many times in print, no one could ever survive.
No one.
And I've written here, why does the villain never employ the dead body policy?
That's true, yeah. We never need to see it. Let's assume they've died.
Yeah, just for clarification, dead body policy is basically in TV and film, or books as well. If you do not see that dead body, if you do not have characters interacting with the dead body, or you do not see it on screen, then there is at least an 80% chance they're coming back.
Absolutely. And yeah, let's just face it. I'm assuming we're going to see more of that in the second book.
We're going to get an entire rebellion from the Ordinaries, and there's going to be fucking thousands of them.
And they all live in the bloody desert where you have been banishing them. Yeah,
exactly. They've all managed to survive and thrive in the desert.
Yeah.
Like the Fremen. Like the Fremen in June. That's going to be people that listen.
People are going to like that reference.
It's basically just Alex.
As long as someone likes it that listens.
Sweetie.
Yeah, it's just like, why don't you just go and check that they've died? No, I don't want to check. They're dead.
Well, because the king's so convinced that if he takes one foot into the desert, he'll be dead straight away. So,
do you want me just to go and just check they've definitely died? No.
With as much
they'll have died.
Like sort of carelessness he has for human life, he could send a scouting party.
Exactly.
Convinced they died with like a little falcon or something.
I know.
With a little note that says "all dead, rip" or like "rip to the goat" or something. So that just
can
to check.
confirm : dead. That's all you need.
If I was the head of some sort of evil regime, I'd want to cover all my bases.
Would you though? Or would you just lose the run of yourself? That seems to happen every time. There's ever any kind of king or higher power in these books. They don't care about any kind of like, let's just do our due diligence and check everything's definitely done.
It's definitely that like power corrupts thing, right? And like you go mad thinking you're untouchable.
Yeah. And almost like if I couldn't survive in that desert, then nobody could.
Yeah.
You know.
True. Anyway, quick rundown of powers and things. Obviously, you've got people can throw fire. They can obviously control water. We've got like
they can create illusions.
cloning, is that one? Could someone clone themselves?
They can clone themselves. They can almost like morph into an animal.
Yes. Oh, yes. There's there's warg elements. There's rock. They sort of move with fire, air, rock,
elemental
water,
magics in there.
And then obviously our two main characters. Let's start with Kai, because his is a lot easier. He can replicate any power that is used against him or in a vicinity, sort of like close to him.
Yeah, he can harness the power of anybody that's nearby who has a power.
So that means he can also sense powers.
Yeah.
Which leads us into the shocker, guys. The spoilers. Payton is an ordinary and has been living as an elite.
Yeah.
For her entire life. She's been passed off as an elite by her dad, who's now dead, ripped to the goat.
But Liv, tell me please, how does she get by in a society where ordinaries are banished to a desert? How surely someone would discover straight away that she has no powers and therefore she would be banished.
Well, they do with everybody else, Amy, let me tell you that. But no, Payton has Holmesian powers of deduction. She is Benedict Cumberbatch in Sherlock.
Yes.
Her dad basically teaches her higher levels of observation to pass off the fact that she is a psychic. It's
Darren Brown.
It's Darren Brown. Payton is Darren Brown. So when our characters meet for the first time, she works. She is a thief in Loot, which is the slums.
Yep.
Emmy and I were trying to figure out what it was called. We were theorising with other things like the slums, the pit, the shitter, the gutter.
It's always just really...
It's always like a really blunt word that basically means shithole.
Yeah, it's grim. It's grim and shit. That's it.
And you know the people that live there didn't name it themselves.
No.
Because they'd have named it something nice.
So. I know.
Something nice, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, she meets him.
She's pickpocket.
She pickpockets for just enough, to be fair, to help her and her friend.
Yep. Adina,
cute.
Adina, who's like a seamstress.
Yeah. They live in an alley.
It sounded like they lived in like a pile of rubbish. Literally just a pile of rubbish at one point.
I'm so sorry. That was such a loud laugh.
I'm keeping it in. Look at it. Look at the spike.
It just took me by surprise.
It does though. Did you read it? It was like a mound of rubbish.
But like almost like a lean-to of rubbish as well.
I imagine like the crack fox from Mighty Bush. Like they were just crawling through into the absolute hovel that was their house.
But like, you know...
Gross. Why?
You know when people put a lean-to on their like alleyway between houses? Yeah. I imagined it was sort of corrugated iron.
Right.
But for mismatch of shapes. And then, like you said, just rubbish in this alleyway.
That's it. They're just amongst it all.
But I will point out that Payton is flawless in terms of like how she looks.
She's gorgeous all the time.
Yeah, and famous silver hair.
Silver hair?
Which...
Silver eyes?
Maybe it's silver eyes.
No, she has silver hair too, but did she also have silver eyes?
Probably.
What colour were her orbs? We just don't know what colour they were.
Well, you were talking about something different. They're obviously a peachy, you know, the other type of orbs are just perfectly round. But, sorry.
I was just looking that up. There was another book, I can't remember what book it was, where silver hair was the thing. I can't think what it is now.
Was that the symbolism for power?
I think it was like just all the main characters, all those, like that bitch, like they all had silver hair, you know, like at the time. Whereas now I feel like it's, I don't know, it's not so much now. It's all dark, isn't it? Dark hair.
I just feel like we just regular hair, guys.
Regular hair, yeah. She's not powerful, but she's got silver hair.
I mean, is she not powerful? Because... Did you think that we were actually going to find out she actually had powers?
Yeah, this always happens. I assumed that was exactly what was going to happen. And it was going to be like a really kind of like niche power.
Yeah, a power
nobody's ever had
probably
before.
Blood magic.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, look, props to Lauren. We haven't had that yet.
No, and I hope we don't get it.
But if she is listening, don't do it, Lauren.
Don't do it, Lauren.
Looking right at you, Lauren.
I feel like she's released the third book by now. But
well, actually, the second book is a novella, and it's all about Adina. It's pre this book.
Oh, so we don't even have the second book yet?
Oh, no, we don't.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Fine. All right.
Sorry, we normally talk a lot more about the plot, and I think we were starting to do that. So then there's basically these trials that determine the champion of the kingdom.
Yeah, so Paden pickpockets Kai.
She does.
And
there's obviously a sexy bit of tension between them. Well,
sexiness.
Bit of like, he's like, and she's like, ooh.
Nicely summarised, absolutely. And then he gets attacked by
a silencer.
A silencer.
So another power that people can have is basically they can diminish other people's powers.
And he is just absolutely fucked by this.
He is
this
flawed.
Person.
Which is nice, because it's nice to actually see the male main character being...
Yeah, and she totally saves his life. Like, if she didn't step up to the plate, nobody else was going to. Everyone was just watching it happen, going...
Yeah, and because she has no power or is a psychic, she is able to not be affected by the silencer. And then... So this is where it gets interesting, guys. So Kai then sees if she has powers with his, I don't know, magical detection thing, and realises he can't sense her power, to which she says, oh no, it's because I'm a psychic and they're mind powers.
This just felt, I'm sorry Lauren, this felt very lazy to me.
I'm not sure how else she could have done it.
Yeah, but I just feel like, why make him have the ability to sort of harness other people and sense other people's powers, and then the one power that you think would completely undo her entire story, everything that she's worked to try and maintain the illusion that she has something, he could instantly be the only person really to say, well, no you don't, because I can't sense anything in you.
And clearly he's come across actual psychics.
Well, I'm assuming other people have been psychic, right?
I think there's a bit in the book that he says he can't sense psychics as well as, like, as clearly.
Yeah.
But she says, and her excuse is, well, you did say you couldn't sense them as clearly. And then I'm sure she does something like...
Yeah. She does that. That's exactly how it's written.
We'll edit that. She, like, tucks her hair behind her ear and, like, licks her lips or something.
Yeah, I think that's what she does. And he falls for it.
And then he's like, silver eyes,
forget about the powers, who cares about my cause, that all I've ever been sort of brought up.
Well, all I've been brought up to be is a fucking enforcer, and but then we do already get the little tidbit that he isn't necessarily killing the people who are ordinaries. He's sending them out into the desert together.
Oh, that's why the king doesn't check.
Because Kai's doing it.
Because he's not supposed to be doing it. Sorry, Lauren, it wasn't your fault.
No, they were all banished, right? Like,
I think he was meant to kill them, wasn't he?
Not these people now, but in the beginning, like, when you first get the little lore dump about how the kingdom exists. Yeah, the king he said, to show that he was benevolent or some shit, he just decided...
Right, so not everyone hates him instantly. He kind of tries to be, slightly more lenient, I suppose.
Yeah.
Merciful king.
Not batshit mental.
No.
Yeah.
Banishment. Okay, that makes sense. Right, okay, fine.
But then basically, due to these events, our last Paden is given basically is chosen by the people to be the not ordinary, she's like a lesser elite. The lesser elite sacrifice person who's brought into the trials.
It all seems a bit strange, but I think that does get cleared up, because it sounds like the other elites who complete within these trials all kind of live in the palace.
Yeah, they seem to be like nobles' children.
Yeah.
Because I do think it's not just ordinaries versus elites, it's a class system within the elite system. So like, if your powers are a bit shit, or all you can do is make grass grow, you ain't doing shit. But if you can control fire and something that could probably be manipulated or militarized, then you probably get like, hey!
Yeah. If you've got some kind of power that is particularly powerful, I suppose, rather than just something kind of mundane.
You mean rather than powerless?
That's it. Then you are instantly kind of higher up the class system, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have the trials. The trials are I want to say, are they is it to celebrate?
Oh, it's
Or
to commemorate the plagues, I think.
Right,
To
okay.
commemorate the plagues and then show that the elites are the shit or something.
Right, fair enough. So it's just kill some of them. Kill some of them, that's how you show they're the shit.
And
kill some of them.
It's basically fucking Hunger Games.
It's Hunger Games.
It's even Hunger Games down to the fact that they do interviews beforehand, like...
Don't get me wrong, right? I quite enjoyed reading it. It was quite a fun time, but all the way through it, I thought, surely it's not going to just be exactly like the Hunger Games. And it just kept becoming more and more like it.
Yeah. The first trial, which, to be fair, which you don't get until 54% or 52% of the way through the book.
That was a choice by Lauren, can I just say, to do that. Don't you think so?
Yeah. And I think, there's a ball, and then there's another ball, and then there's some fighting.
There's a ball before every trial. There's a ball before every trial.
There is a ball before every trial, and they all have dinner together. And at this point, like, I get that she's probably trying to do something a little bit different, so that you don't have like this love or whatever she's going to build forged in the heart of the Crucible, which is basically the words that Caesar Flickerman uses to describe Peter and Katniss.
Mm-hmm.
So she tries to create that love outside of, like, the balls of forced proximity, that sort of thing.
They just slaughtered quite a few people though, and now we're having a ball. Like, they're dead now, those ones that were here last week. But
Hunger Games, man.
Yeah.
Hunger Games.
More wine. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is where we also meet Kit, who is king in waiting, half-brother of Kai, and he is the golden retriever to Kai's black cat.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're not supposed to... in my opinion, we're not supposed to expect for 1 minute that she's going to end up with Kit.
Well, no, because he's blonde.
So therefore we don't give a shit about Kit.
Yeah, no, we don't. We don't give a shit about Kit.
We don't really get any depth to Kit's character.
He has zero depth.
None. He's blonde, and that's about as interesting as he is.
He wags his tail, and that's it.
And pants and begs for treats. And she sometimes, occasionally, will be interested in him for like 10 minutes.
She goes with him to every ball, but then ends up like doing nothing with Kai in the corner. Honestly, my main bugbear with this book is that the tension is there. Yeah. I have to give it to Lauren. The tension is there between Peyton and Kai, but the payoff, nothing.
Non-existent.
They don't even kiss.
Nope. And I think it's worthwhile nowadays to just tell people that straight up, because
it's not what we're after.
We're not after it. We're reading these books with a certain expectation, right? Even if it's a young adult,
even if it's closed door, but it's
Absolutely.
but it's the payoff. You have to believe in that to have the tension, to have that, for it then to be there at the end for the culmination of that. Because if they don't kiss or solidify that intimacy somehow, be it through words, be it through actions, then there's no belief. I have no belief in it, and there's no way that the second book can provide that belief that he won't kill her.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she's still just a thought. She's not a reality to him.
No, absolutely. And there are a lot of opportunities where they could have kissed, can I just say?
When they are about to kiss, and then one of the kids, it's like 70-80% thing, and I was like, here it is, this is it, brilliant.
Yeah.
You've made me wait, but it's going to work, it's going to happen. And it's the laziest way. It's like, oh, your father wants to see you, and it's like, oh.
I know.
And he's done nothing but defy his father all the way through, so at what point would he not be like, fuck you, see you later, where were we?
Yeah, we can wait 10 bloody minutes.
A lot of tongue noises this episode.
I know, what interest.
It's because I didn't get any tongue in the fucking book. That's why.
None. You've got to compensate somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just no payoff at all, and that was probably one of the kind of weaker parts for me.
Yeah,
I
agreed.
just felt a bit like, oh.
We enjoyed the trials though. First trial is in a forest, bit of survival. It's like what did you describe it as? Tag rugby.
Yeah,
shit tag rugby in the forest.
Rugby in the forest.
Then
everyone's got a band on, and basically they have to kind of kill each other to steal. You don't have to kill each other actually. There is no
requisite for death.
You can torture them until they give it up.
Aww, how merciful of you.
Yeah.
Then they climb a mountain cooperatively.
Yep, 2 teams.
And then it's a maze, and the first person to get to the middle and kill the prisoner. Who is definitely not a person that's
killing
important.
The prisoner bit was just a bit like, oh, right, is not getting to the middle first not enough? We have to kill somebody in the middle of the...
I think the king pictures it as like, this person's done is a traitor to thingy, so you have to prove your worth to thingy, and then dun dun dun, it's Adina.
It's Adina. Did you know that? Were you expecting it to be Adina?
I don't think so, actually.
I thought it might be her dad.
Ooh, that would have been fun.
Like, I was kind of thinking, it's got to be somebody, right? There's got to be a twist in the tail here somewhere.
Yeah.
She needs to really hate them. I felt like there had to be something to make her really hate them again. But Adina works. That worked fine.
Yeah. And then Blair, the token bitch girl.
Yep, we had to hate someone, and it had to be a woman, didn't it?
Obviously.
Because
she's, of course... But the only reason she hates Peyton is because she's getting attention from Kit and Kai.
Of course.
So
women only ever want to get attention from men, right? That's how.
Yeah,
and they're worst measured.
And that's why they're rivals, because of the men.
Oh yeah. Of course.
Oh, I love it so much.
Not that they actually have got quite similar qualities, and that they actually could be quite good badass friends.
Some of the best fantasy is when they start as enemies, whatever, fine, and then they become lovers. Oh my god!
Yeah.
But then they realise that they don't have to. Yeah, that the men are beneath them, and then they can just live their life.
I just feel like if there's no female friendship or no friendship really whatsoever, the characters just feel so two-dimensional. It's like
we only ever see them in the context.
Yeah,
we only ever see them. You're right. All they care about is the men, and the only context we see them in is after the meal, with the meal, by themselves.
Exactly.
Thinking about the meal.
Oh, yeah, every monologue is just filled with how either pining, longing,
or I shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. Basically, there's a whole side story with the rebellion, and then she basically uses Kit, the prancing pony, to find her... to find her a way into the castle that's very secret, and she lets the rebels in during the final task, and then they have a fight, and
it's meant to be kind of, well, they sell it to her as it's going
protest.
To be a peaceful protest, basically, but we need to get in to get the platform because the trials
everyone's
are
going to be there and
hugely publicised, aren't they? And they kind of record them, other people who have the ability to record things with their eyeballs. Record them.
Oh shit, yeah, they do. I forgot about those guys. Those peeping toms.
They're weird. And then they show it on a big screen at the end, which that was a bit repetitive. I was like, really, we're going to have to listen to... Is
there a canon when one of them dies? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But, yeah, and then basically it all goes tits up. There's sort of like an insurrection, and there's a bunch of fighting, and then Peyton tries to escape, and then the king reveals, dun dun dun, because Peyton has been having dreams of like the memory of her father's murderer, and for some reason the man there looks sort of familiar all the way through, and she just can't, her memory just can't bring it forward, and obviously it's Kai.
And she only really knows like two men.
Yeah.
Who could it be?
And he's not blonde, so...
it's Kai. It was Kai's first kill. I
think you said one of the first trials of his enforcer ship or something.
Because we learned that he was kind of like his training to become an enforcer was like really, really tough on him and
rigorous cruelty
to try and break his spirit, I suppose, so that he is able to commit these really like callous acts for the king.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't come across like that at all. Can I just point out? Like, I didn't feel he was that callous.
Half as tortured as I feel he should be. But yeah, we can discuss that in character.
We can.
Speaking of which, I mean, before we get down to character, Amy, I think we need to back up our claims that we started reading these sort of books 8-10 years ago.
Yeah.
So hit me with one of your first fantasy romances.
So I probably would say, and this is more like, what would you kind of say now? Supernatural romance, I think, but at the time it was like very much seen as like the same kind of thing. So Twilight was obviously a big one.
Do you know, such a weird one, I've never considered Twilight as a genre of romantasy, but those are the two main points, right? It is a fantasy novel with romantic plot.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And then Daughter Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor.
It's over there, guys.
Yeah, it was quite funny because I was just about to look up and then it was weirdly right in front of my face. So that was kind of next for me.
Oh, I fucking love that.
Brilliant. And then what was the one?
Again, at the time, I think it's because the moniker of romantasy didn't exist at the time. Or
No.
maybe it was more like romantic hadn't made it a portmanteau.
Not really. No, not at all. And what was the one where it was like a fallen angel? And it was
Hush.
feathers. Hush.
Yeah. I think I only read the first one of that.
Me too. But I remember it so vividly as being like, oh, I want to read more of that
the
book.
Feather.
But again, I didn't know about romantasy. It wasn't really a thing then. So you were just kind of looking for those kind of things. And it was mainly like, at the time, I guess, for me, fae wasn't one. It wasn't fae. It was like vampires.
Vampires for sure.
Angels.
Melissa de la Cruz, she wrote the Van Allen. It's like
rings a bell.
It's like reincarnated soulmates and stuff, but as vampires, like Blue Bloods. It's called.
Okay.
Because it's New York and vampires.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, so good.
It sounds great.
Yeah, and like I don't think there was anything that had the market in terms of like the fae does nowadays.
No.
But
there's room for a lot of different.
100%.
Kind of anything
goes.
At the wall of sticks, we'll go with it.
Absolutely. I mean, Kelly Armstrong, thinking she's again a bit more paranormal, but I do think again a romantic fantasy. Not Shadow and Bone, not The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee.
Oh yeah.
And its counterpart, and she did a few other ones. And yeah, they were fucking class.
I have read that, but I didn't read the cover that you have.
Right.
Yeah. I read the one that was like circles.
Yes.
Yeah. So I always think about that. But yeah, I have read it.
But yeah. I mean,
I think though for the way that romantasy's changed so much now is that when you think about romantasy nowadays, I wouldn't probably put Daughter of Smoke and Bone in there, and I wouldn't put Twilight in there certainly, because it's all a lot of like court intrigue and like castles and almost like that kind of, because of the fae, right? Because that's hugely monopolised the market.
Yeah, right. So you're suggesting that the fae themselves have corrupted the romantasy market to give you solid tropes that you must follow for it to be a romantasy.
Well, yeah, I'd say like most of the time if you say, oh, it's romantasy, oh, okay, what is it about? It's going to be about fae, right? Or some kind of fae.
Yeah, I mean, this is not fae.
No.
What we're reading right now.
Which I actually was quite appreciative of. And if it's her first book, Lauren's first book, I can see why she might have went down the fae route. Because it's so popular. And
people pleaser. A crowd pleaser, so to speak. Alright, so we've talked a bit about Payton. We talked a bit about Kit as a little sort of sacrificial puppy.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Kai a little bit as her like sort of black cat, dark thing. I feel like we could talk a bit more about Adina, but actually we probably can't, because all she is a tailor. No offence to all the tailors that listen.
No offence.
Really big tailor listenership that we've got going on.
Yeah.
But like she's
only in there as a sacrificial lamb, right?
Yeah, and I don't even think I cared that much. Like I was a bit like, aw.
No.
I get that she's her only friend, but I didn't give a shit. She wasn't my only friend.
Exactly. I don't know you.
You're my only friend.
This is it. Yeah. Oh, it's a shame because conveniently Adina managed to come into the main storyline.
Yeah, she gets to be her dresser. And I feel like maybe there were some bits that were cut because...
Oh, you mean it lost to the edit?
Well, yeah, we don't get a lot. We get, if anything, we get too much faff on with her and Kit, and then too much faff on with her and Kai for nothing to have come of it. Mm-hmm. So where's the bits with Adina? Because we only literally see her in her room dressing her, and she makes her a green vest.
Again, I felt like Adina failed to exist when she wasn't in her...
Agreed, yeah.
When it wasn't Payton's POV. It's like, what's Adina doing the rest of the time? Just sitting in your room making dresses? Like, does she have a life? Does she have anything that she hopes to achieve in this story, or is she just there?
Yeah, I do know that Powerful, the novella, is about Adina.
That might change my mind about her then.
Yeah, we get like a love story for Adina.
Oh.
But I mean, she's dead now, so
what a shame.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna bother reading that.
No, me either. What's the point? But yeah, so let's maybe chat about the other competitors a little. You get Jax, who is, if you thought Kit was a golden retriever, Jax is like I don't know, what's even more golden retriever than a golden retriever?
Like a golden retriever puppy.
Yeah.
Just like
he is,
an Andrix.
He's very sweet, yes.
Puppy.
He advertises toilet paper
gambling
all the time.
about, yeah.
Yeah, he is Kit and Kai's younger brother.
Kind of a.
Yeah, I couldn't really figure out, because obviously another sort of trope that I'm not really sure I know how to name is that the two boys, they're not related properly, they're half brothers.
Why is that always the case?
Maybe in case there's going to be a threesome, I don't know.
We didn't get a fucking Kessner in a threesome.
That's very true.
Oh.
I don't know, I think it's obviously to stoke animosity, right, for that chance to,
and to maybe slightly cushion the blow of the betrayal. It's like, we're not my full brother. Like, you know, like, there's something bad about you because I don't know who your mum was, or... And actually, isn't his...
It does, I think maybe it gives Kai an excuse to have a chip on his shoulder, because, you know, Kit's mum's an awful woman to him.
I was going to say, isn't his mum horrible to Kai? Kit's mum's not nice to Kai.
Shockingly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, everyone just heard me drink tea
there.
No.
That's fine. Yes, so we have Jax.
Jax is really sweet. He's entered the contest.
15.
Wanted
to put that out there.
He's entered the contest to prove himself, I suppose.
And he can teleport.
Yes, he can.
Yeah, that's all really I've got about him.
Yeah.
I didn't write much about him.
I quite liked him as a character.
It was all right. It was interesting. We thought at the end of the first trial, spoilers, that he was dead. Then he wasn't dead.
Yes, because the illusion, there's a guy who creates illusions, and he makes Kai attack him, and actually Kai's attacking his own little brother. And then, of course, he survives.
So I don't really understand what the point in that bit was.
Probably to get him annoyed at that illusion guy.
He's already annoying though, right?
I know, but I think it was so that Kai didn't seem as bad to be a killer when he eventually kills him.
Fair enough. Yep. Okay, that makes sense.
Then we've obviously got Blair. What can Blair do?
Blair is telekinetic.
Oh, right, so she can
like
manipulate shit.
Yeah, so a lot of the time she was always like, people were chucking knives at her, and then she was like stopping them in midair and like twisting them around, and yeah, there's a lot going on with that. She's jealous. That's really her only characteristic, really.
Yeah, it's her only personality.
And she murders Adina. She's the one that kills
Adina.
Adina.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, not necessarily suggesting that Blair should be forgiven for murdering Adina, but when you've been raised in a noble society your whole life, and then you're told, if you want to win...
Why not, though? Like, at the end of the day, she's got no loyalties to Adina. She'd kill anybody else to win the trials.
Exactly, yeah. So, I don't think it makes her as much of a horrible... But also, I think I would hate her more if I cared or gave a shit about Adina.
Yeah.
I don't.
Nah. Because she just didn't... I know I've said it before, but she literally just fails to exist when Payton's not in the room with her, so...
Yeah.
Ace is the illusionist who can create lifelike images.
Oh, he sucked.
He was the worst.
But he's meant to be the worst. There's no other dimension to him.
No,
there's no redeeming features or anything. We're just meant to hate him straight up.
They were total caricatures, every single one of the other contestants. They were like, he's evil, she's okay, she's a horrible bitch.
Oh yeah, there's like a little girl, isn't there?
Yeah,
who's
she's
clearly
fine.
not meant to be Rue.
Nah, she's so true.
She's not even as sympathetic as Rue, to be perfectly honest.
The tough thing about Ace, though, I've written this down, is that he was also escaped life from the slums to come to compete.
Yeah, but didn't he? He did always think himself better than Payton for some reason.
He always tries to kill Payton. Like, every time in every trial, he's got beef with her specifically.
Probably because he fancies her or something, like everybody else does.
Yeah. Yeah. Kai kills him.
That's probably enough.
That's
we don't need
enough
to talk about
him.
any other competitors.
Yeah, there's
like a cousin.
There's a cousin.
Their cousin who's like a shapeshifter. She seemed pretty cool.
Who's the cousin one? Oh, there's a cloner. And yeah.
That's gonna make a Star Wars
someone
reference
that can
then, but it was really deep, and I just don't think it would have gone down.
It wouldn't have
not well, but
landed.
You know, yeah, it wouldn't. Yeah, everyone would have just been like, eh?
Yeah. Andy is a shapeshifter. So that's all I've written about her. She's just a shapeshifter, and
yeah, she's a noble's daughter. She's the general's daughter or something. I think something like that. And so I think she's going to come into it in the next.
She gets
book.
bitten by a snake. I'm not tough time. Why that? snake.
Yes, I'm a snake.
She gets bitten by a snake and survives. So.
Yeah, so...
The goodies very much survive, except Adina, who cares about her. And the baddies die, and there's no chance they'll come back to life, so don't worry about them.
Yeah. Let's have a quick chat about how we leave Paden, Kai and Kit as their characters at the end of the book.
Fair.
We, during the rebel insurrection, during the rebel attack gone wrong, Paden goes into the tunnels, the king tells her that blah 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 blah, he mocks her and says like, my son killed your daddy.
That's it.
And then
That's probably what he fucking said as well.
Yeah, probably. And then she kills him.
Yeah, fair.
Which, fuck yeah.
Fine. That's fine with that. I don't that.
For a lot of book that didn't have a lot of follow through, I was chuffed for that.
Absolutely. And part of me thought, will she? Because that's quite, or will Kai kill him?
Oh yeah, no.
And that typical thing that we've talked about many, many times, where the hero almost has to keep saving the female main character.
Yeah. You know, but also the hero, who, if we discuss that as Paden in this instance, she doesn't kill. Whereas I find that so frustrating. It's like Batman. Why doesn't Batman have, I don't kill.
Yeah, just
I don't like guns. And it's like,
just buy a gun, Batman.
Yeah, it'd be so much easier for
absolutely
Batman.
Fine.
But like, you know,
I love Batman. Anyway, just haven't watched it in a while.
But yeah, so Paden kills the king. And
I liked it. I thought it was a really good way to conclude that and to give her kind of like that revenge on what happened to her dad.
And also to give her a bit of substance.
Yeah.
She deserved that, you know, and the king's evil.
Yeah, he's evil.
So, you know, I didn't feel all that bad about it. I'm really hoping in the second book we don't get a lot of, now murderer.
Oh, honestly, if we have that, I mean, who knows, I'm going to read it anyway, sorry. I probably will. It's not going to be high on my list of priorities.
It's so we can talk about it, right?
Absolutely.
Not necessarily on here, but just ourselves.
Yeah. If we get the regretful, you know, it happens all the time where they're like, for some reason, they're so distraught by what they've done, they like keep vomiting everywhere. I'm just fed up of it. I've read it so many times.
Is she distraught or is she pregnant?
Oh,
you know for a fact she isn't fucking pregnant because they've barely even touched each other. It's an immaculate conception if it is.
God. What age are they?
Like 17 or something, 17, 18. Well, she'll be 17 on the cusp of 18 and he's clearly like 23.
Oh, of course. It's always that. He's in his early 20s. She's a teenager.
Because he needs to have lived a life and fucked a load of women before he could possibly find
He needs to, like, teach her.
Yeah,
the ways.
And she needs to be virginal.
Absolutely.
Oh, honestly, why do we do this to ourselves?
I don't know.
Kai, basically he finds his dad and he finds Paden next to the body. And he draws the conclusion that she's murdered him.
She murdered my dad.
And I'm semi-conflicted about it.
I feel like he doesn't.
He's a lot more hurt about it than I thought he would be.
Me too. I was going to say, I feel like he doesn't have to be that annoyed by it because he doesn't really like his fucking dad anyway.
No, he does not.
And he treated him horribly and brought him up to be this, apparently, like this cold and cruel enforcer by kind of having a horrible childhood.
Yep.
He's gutted about it.
No, he's alright. Yeah. And then, to be fair, he's not as butthurt as Kit is. I've written here, butthurt Kit vows to kill Paden. That's how the book ends. It's basically, Kit becomes king. He is rageful because basically...
He ain't killing her himself.
Oh, no, he's not, because he sends Kai to do it.
He's got an enforcer for that.
But then, the only reason he's so upset about it is because Paden used him to find a fucking... tunnel so that the rebels could come in.
And he was never really going to use him, was he? Wasn't that always kind of the thought process that when he became king, he wouldn't use his brother like that? Like,
I'm pretty sure they have those chats,
Yeah, and it's like, no, you know, like...
power corrupts, ultimately.
Oh, well, instantly as well. Within about 10 minutes of the king being dead and him being the new king, it's like, off you go then.
Yeah, go on, go find her.
Fetch.
Go kill the lass. Go kill the lass who upset us.
Yeah, I'm actually evil, by the way. P.S. Evil.
P.S. Lol. Throws up the peace signs like
evil. Yeah.
But yeah.
What were your thoughts on the love triangle?
I mean, it was a foregone conclusion, wasn't it? Like, it was such a. The only reason it existed is for Kit to have the justification that she was lying to him the whole time.
Right.
I had no belief that there was ever going to be a will they, won't they.
Never ever even crossed my mind that she might end up with Kit, ever.
No.
So what's the point in it then, as you've said?
Yeah.
Purely just to create that.
To create
You
justifications
betrayed me.
for future books.
Yeah.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Not that we've left anything out there. Not that we haven't left everything out there.
Is it ambiguous what we're going to say here? Are you unsure what we're going to say about this next question? Let's find out.
I don't know. Ask me. Let's see.
Liv, would you recommend this book to a friend?
No. I always want to.
Yeah.
I always want to be rosy and cheerful and say, oh yeah.
We never want to. We said this when we first started this podcast. We never want to make an episode where we just absolutely rinse a book and an author. And
look at us now.
I know. Yeah.
I think we've been very fair.
I think we have been, but I wouldn't recommend it.
No. And it doesn't mean it's been written badly. It's why I think we started with the top of the episode being like, we've read an awful lot of this genre, and perhaps we've not aged out of this genre or aged out of a certain type of this genre.
I think about 10 years ago, if I discovered this before I discovered some other books similar to it, I would eat this shit up.
Yeah.
And I would have loved it. Absolutely. But we have both agreed to say mutually that there are better books out there.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of which, Emmy, we have you should read this instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is...
yeah. If you like the trope, if you like the themes, if you like the, the sort of elements of this book and you would like to see it done, in my opinion, better, then, yeah. If you like the idea of the trials and you've never, for whatever reason, read The Hunger Games...
Oh...
Then...
What have you been doing? Where have you been?
That's the
Who
blueprint.
are you?
It's the blueprint.
Stop everything now. Don't even listen to the end of this episode and just go and get the book.
Just go and, go and read the book, go and watch all the films.
Especially with the announcement of the 5th book.
Yep.
Sunrise on the Reaping. Which is going to be Haymitch's story, which is, Suzanne provides.
She does. She drops in.
Yeah.
She gives us something else and then she's like, bye.
Unproblematic, just goes and lives her life.
Love
yeah.
it.
So true.
It's brilliant. I'm so excited for it. And that's the one. If you want to see trials and interviews, very, very, very similar to this.
Yeah. But not a fantasy, much more of a dystopian fiction.
Dystopian.
But, it's lush.
It's brilliant. And really, if you took out the magic in this book, then you would have pretty much the same kind of story anyway, so don't worry about that.
100%. Actually, I have just thought one, if you do want fantasy and you do want trials, the 5-book series A Trial of Sorcerers by Elise Cover is...
I like Elise Cover, so that sounds like a good one for me.
That is like multiple love interests.
Ooh, yes.
Enemies to lovers, or like friends to lovers to enemies. And then...
I like it.
And then sort of stuffy rich boy and like girl who's looked down upon, maybe to lovers.
Stuffy rich boy
so good.
My favourite.
And there's also so many trials. There's enough trials to shake a shitty stick at.
I'm already going to be taking a picture of it before we go.
There you go. But also, I think this is one both you and I would recommend. If you want enemies to lovers and you want it hard, then it's The Cruel Prince.
Oh boy.
It's like you're sniffing it right there.
Oh my.
Oh, wake up and smell the enemies to lovers.
It's elite in my opinion. It's proper enemies to lovers. There's real reasons for why they don't like each other.
Yeah. It's visceral. But let's not say too much.
Why not?
Why not? Why not? Why shouldn't we say too much? Because it's our bloody book next week.
Yay! It's what I was reading on holiday.
Yay! Spoilers!
I can't wait.
Basically, Amy and I, we can announce this. We are going to do all 3 books. This is our sort of first, series that we're going to do.
Yeah.
We're gonna do 2 or 3 episodes across it. But we'll probably end up doing 2. I think
it will be the first one. We think we're going to do The Cruel Prince, and then we'll read the second and third.
Yeah.
And we'll not read them, but we've read them.
We'll do a whole episode. Yeah. It could be a bit longer, but
yeah.
Yeah. We're so excited. This is one of our both of our favourite series, and this was my first reread of them. I read them so long ago.
Oh really?
And I had never reread them.
Oh, that's with my 3rd time.
I think for me it was like when you've got something really good,
yes,
and you don't want to reread in case you pick up something bad. But no, actually, it was. I was pleasantly surprised. But
I can't wait to talk about it.
That's all we'll say. And we are gonna go in.
Oh, we are going to go in even more than you might think we already go in. But if you really want to hear us talking about a book that we love, then get ready for the Cruel Prince.
Yeah, so true. We are so excited to bring it to you.
Mm-hmm.
As always, it's going to be chock full of spoilers, so make sure you're either up to date with your rereads or starting it anew. If you're starting it anew, I'm so jealous.
Oh, me too.
That's going to be so fantastic. But if you're rereading it as well, you'll find bits that you didn't remember.
And please do not go and look it up before you read it, because there's such a huge, I wouldn't even call it a misconception, but people are always saying it's very much romance adjacent, The Cruel Prince.
Yeah, I also heard it categorised as bully romance.
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
Just
go into it. Just us.
Just go into it. It is a fantastic fantasy plot that has the romance with it.
It's world building.
It's
done
all intertwined together
expertly well. The characterisation is amazing.
Yeah.
Probably one of not only my favourite male main character, but definitely one of my top, I'd say even top 5.
There is a reason that Jude Duarte is a queen.
When is she a queen? Anyway, we can't talk about this right now.
Anyway,
we have to eat a toasty and then we'll come back.
Oh, yes. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. We're so glad to be back.
Yeah.
Hope you've stayed with us. And, well, if you haven't, we're going to do it anyway, as we always say. But we'll see you next week for Cruel Prince, Book 1. And,
Happy reading.
Happy reading.